Hey, Manuel, where's B?
You know, I have no idea, but isn't it weird that she's always missing whenever something crazy happens?
Oh, did you see it online too? The thing about the asteroid that barely missed striking Earth?
Yeah, and isn't it weird that right when that's happening, B disappears?
I know, it's like there's some kind of connection between all of this.
If only we knew what it was.
Hi, I'm JD,
Manuel.
and B actually isn't here, but you're still reading the wrong way. Yes, welcome back to Reading the Wrong Way. I believe this is episode 11 we're on now, the second to last one of our first year. And this time it was my pick. We're reading Earthchild by Hideo Shinkai.
Okay, now I have a question right off the bat.
Yes?
Have you read this before?
Yes, I read it as it was coming out.
Really? That's very shocking. I assumed as I was reading this one that it was similar to when B picked Tekon. Cuckoo is black and white, right?
Yes.
I assumed it was like that because if you remember, that was a part of the episode because I didn't like that one that much for weird reasons. It's funny because I complained about that one, but compared to like some of the stuff we've done later, I'm like, even some of the stuff I picked for later, that one's like a masterpiece. I remember getting upset with her because I'm like, wait, you haven't read this? Like it was her first time reading it too.
Yeah, I think
So
the only one I've picked so far that I haven't read before has been Gachiakata.
Oh yeah, well that makes sense because that was the sampler one, and those are all new.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't think any of us had read any of those. So yeah, Earthchild. Now,
Yeah.
before you get on your intro, I was very excited at the end of last week's episode, and I think you could even hear it in my voice.
Last month.
Last month, I'm sorry, because I misunderstood the title for a minute, and I was even looking up Moonchild, which, by the way, is two things. To nerds like me, the first one is the name of the childlike empress from the Neverending Story. It's funny because every so often on TikTok that goes viral about, did you know what her name is? Because they say the name in the movie, but it's done in a way, unless you have subtitles on, you'll never hear it. He names her Moonchild. That's the whole point of that movie. Spoiler for a 40-year-old movie. But the other thing it's a movie, a Japanese movie that stars Gact and Hyde, two very famous J-Rock stars, like kind of the most famous. Like if you're into that kind of scene, like Hyde, of course, from Lark and Seal. So I was like, oh, is there going to be a manga adaptation of that? And no, I just misheard entirely. This is called Earthchild. And go into your intro.
Yeah.
So I'm just stupid.
Created by Hideo Shinkai, this ran for 27 chapters in Shonen Jump from February 21st, 2022 until September 5th of that year. I thought this was his first big series, but it turns out he had also written another series called Soul Catchers that ran for 90 chapters from 2013 to 2016, and another one called Lightwing that ran for 23 chapters from 2010 to 2011. He also currently has a series in Saikyo Jump, Kabushiki Gaisha Gonen I or Ichikumi. I don't know how you pronounce that one. I know it's just a counter on there. I don't think that one has an English translation at the moment, or at least for the title.
I wonder why.
I assume it's more with Saikyo Jump rights than anything, but you're about to say, Manuel. But the tagline for this one on the Shonen Jump app is, "An unlucky romance has planet-sized consequences."
For Earthchild?
Yes.
What an interesting way to synopsize. I'm making up a word. I think that is a word. How to synopsize this series.
Mm-hmm. Generally, when it's my turn to pick and lead the discussion on this, we go more chapter by chapter. But given that this is, 27 chapters, which is a lot, and we're not breaking this up into a two-part one like we did with Tokyo Babylon, I think we're going to go more arc by arc on this one. And the first arc I would like to start with is essentially just the first chapter itself, because it is 60 odd pages. So it's essentially 3 or 4 chapters in length, depending on the chapter.
So what year did this come out again? To
2022.
Okay, so I'm confused by this because I was reading one of the asides, and I even found an interview that he did that somebody had translated. And he was talking pandemic and whatever. And yes, I do know the pandemic that stretched beyond 2020. But like the implication was that he was writing this when he was in lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
I assumed because how long this chapter was, and don't get me wrong, I do understand that, especially Shonen Jump will sometimes give you like double page count for chapters.
Mm-hmm.
This one has like triple. And
Yeah.
I was like, what happened here? Why did they give this dude so many pages? And I assumed that this was a pandemic thing, but it's not. Oh, I guess technically it could be. But like it's not like a 2020 pandemic thing where they probably didn't have as much material to put out. So I was just confused.
I don't think the dates match up, but I assumed it was like a one shot that ran in like one of the special editions of the magazine that got transplanted when it became a full series. So that's why the first chapter is essentially a triple chapter.
So have you confirmed this is a one shot? Because I saw that online too. Somebody said that it was a one shot that got extended.
Don't remember. It was more than 3 years ago now.
Yeah.
And I just remember it coming out saying, "Oh, this is good," and then seeing more of it later. I don't even remember. I found it when it was still only a one shot.
Okay, well, I guess you can go ahead and synopsize this first chapter.
So yes, chapter 1, you are the Earth and I am the Moon. It basically starts with a meet cute between our main male character, Reisuke, and our main female character, our super powered character, Kareri. They both don't get their names introduced until like another 10 pages in. But he's like going through his head about whether like superheroes are born like innately good or if they're kind of raised into greatness, and doesn't realize he's about to get hit by a truck. So it's a good thing that Kaireri saves him, but then she uses like her phone to basically neuralize him like she's a man in black.
Yeah, she Men in Blacks him with the phone app, and I was just like, that feels weirdly cheap for a manga. Like, I guess he was probably trying to be clever and be like, oh, it's an app now. But like, I'm like, really? You couldn't do a device? Anyway.
I mean, it's portable. Everyone is expected to have it in their pocket at most times. I can understand why he's thought, yeah, let's go with an app for this now.
I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of drawn to this immediately, and you're gonna of course you'd be like, of course, Manuel's gonna bring this up. But big titty anime girl kinda, and she looked very much like Taki from Soul Calibur. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about.
No, I don't play enough Soul Calibur.
Yeah, she it's this ninja who has like very voluptuous character, all red outfit and a mask like that. And she also has hair in a ponytail. So I'm like, oh, is that Taki? And it's even in my notes. I'm like, Taki, Men in Black, the main character. So yeah.
So Reisuke wakes up the next day with the events blacked out, but he tries to reconstruct what happens from the context clues he has, like the details he can remember. He does remember the pretty girl.
Yeah, he has GAV memory because I don't just mean because of he remembers the girl only, but it's all pixelated.
I think it's supposed to be for how fuzzy his memories are, but sure, Manuel.
He has GAV memory, but yeah.
That is until he sees her again in Shibuya. I think it's supposed to be the Scramble.
Yeah, it is.
And then they're in like the Starbucks that looks over the Scramble because I've been there now.
Oh, I never been to to that Starbucks. I don't like Starbucks. But that's a story for another day.
Wi-Fi. That's why I was there mostly.
Famima. Anyway.
He tries to reach out to her. Like she's even got, I don't want to say disguise, it's the Clark Kent disguise. She's just in glasses and it doesn't fool him. He says, wait, this is the girl who saved me last night. And then like out of reflex and training, she just kind of judo throws him over onto the ground.
Yeah. It's funny because they're at the Starbucks and like she's going over the fact that like, oh, the memory wipe doesn't work on this dude. They never quite explain that, and I think they're trying to not to jump the gun a little, but they do imply later on like, oh, love conquers all type thing, their powers or their wish or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
But it just like I kind of bothered me. They never explain that. Like I just find it hard to believe, and because this is a thing that happens. Like this technology seems flawed. Basically, that's all I'm getting at.
Yeah, man. I think we just have to chalk it up to the power of love, which, while itself might not be a superpower, we see the effect it can have, that and like his determination can have over the course of this series. So yes, they like meet up in that Starbucks. They have a calm discussion. She talks about like what she does, and Reisuke realizes that because of like her super heroics going on, they live in two very different worlds. She's out there saving the day while he's just hoping he can get into college and find a job that'll pay enough for him to be able to buy video games.
Then she saves she leaves. Then she saves the Earth another day, and she sends him a message: "Meet me again," on the back of the dude whose ass she kicks.
Yeah, she saves hostages in situations. I'm assuming she thought the news would cover it, like they take a picture of it, because clearly it's a message to someone.
That feels like a huge breach of protocol for like, we don't know it yet, but whatever the fuck she's involved in.
Maybe. I'd say the story that she gives Reisuke is that she has telekinetic powers and works with the government to study and use those powers on top secret projects for the sake of world peace. She's worked on conservation efforts, humanitarian aid, mediation, conflict resolution, and finding stuff people lost.
She makes a ball out of her coffee.
No, that's all? Okay.
That was it.
Reiki says that sounds like a superhero, but Kareri, we don't actually learn her name until like after this scene. Says she's just a global civil servant. Reiki counters that he owes her a life, so she's at least a hero to him. Then we finally get that her name is Kareri Hoshifuri. And like as I was reading this, I thought, is that supposed to be like Kal-El for Superman?
Yes, I'm glad you pointed that out because I noticed that too. I'm like, are they really doing this? Are they really fucking doing this? Because I actually kind of like this first chapter, and I'm kind of like obviously hinting at what's gonna come next. But I like this first chapter. But there's parts even in this that I'm like that are making me groan. I'm like, oh my god, they're Supermaning her. And then I also, for some, I don't know if this is just me, but I don't think that any character really looks the same after this. I'm not sure if Mr. I forgot his name, Shinkai, whatever his name was, if he was like under their gun to do the 60 page or something like that. But there's so many like off-model type, like every scene I see Kareri in the fucking cafe, the Starbucks, whatever the fuck. She is so pointy in a weird way, and it just feels weirdly amateurish, and like it doesn't. The rest of the manga actually does not feel that way. Typically, so I don't want to like bash the art too much, but like some of the art, it goes back and forth in some really bad panels. My opinion in this first chapter.
Yeah, there's some really awkward ones in here that I point out too.
Yeah,
well, at least in my notes, I don't know if I'll bring them up. So yes, we go through this like. Go ahead, Manny.
That was it. They have their second date. Go ahead.
Yeah. We basically get this cycle of like she occasionally wipes his memory, but they end up meeting again, and we see that like the bond growing between them. Like she's even worried that for the first time they meet up after, I guess the second time technically that they meet up after that hostage situation. She doesn't know if she's going to come or if he's going to be there, and we see her panic. We look at the time, and then he finally shows up. I think a few minutes early. It comes up later in it, so that's why I'm going to bring it up. Yeah, Reisuke realizes that she's been erasing memories, but he saw the news. He feels the need to like meet up with her. We get more of an explanation about her status. She is what's called an Earthchild, which is the source of her telekinesis. At a certain stage in gestation, when a fetus absorbs a certain ration of earthly substances, or I think ratio is what I'm supposed to put there, there's a small chance that they will become an Earthchild. She notes there are probably a few thousand of them at the moment. I don't know if she's talking out through history or throughout the world, but given what we learn in later chapters, probably throughout history.
Okay, no. So I think that this chapter is just like, I'm surprised they didn't go back and fix it, because I'm glad you pointed that out too. I really want to see the original Japanese. I want to ask this dude, because this feels like they were writing something different. Because suddenly, like we end up learning later on, they're like the Sith, where there's only like one, and then like another one like coming to like almost take their place. There's never like more than two, and even then when there's two, it's because the younger the two, the lesser the two, is going to take over for the first one. But here she's talking about like, oh, like there's a small chance. There's not a small chance. What the fuck are you saying? There's a 1 in 7 billion chance.
Well, Manuel, at the time they didn't know the exact mechanics of it, which they will learn by the end of the series, I think is. So she's saying, oh, it just must be that one pops up every so often. They haven't really gotten to the point where there's, oh, a new one kind of awakens as soon as the old one goes through their final mission.
Why is there a worldwide agency for this? There's only one at any given time.
That makes I assume they're taking care of other super agent stuff.
It's just bureaucracy.
Yeah, it's just bureaucracy, and it's other stuff that doesn't need superpowered humans. Or there's some other set of superpowered humans we don't see.
So, anyways, after he says all that,
yeah,
he basically just like, I love you, because of the chase.
Yeah, they act as the she describes them as acting as the Earth's immune system, dispatching threats against it. So they're like Captain Planet without the Planeteers.
But yeah, and then the I love yous, which come out of nowhere. I'm like, oh, so we're speedrunning this. Okay.
Yes, Manuel. Any relationship in a piece of fiction that doesn't take place in real time is going to be speedrunning it at some level. I think you at least have to agree on that. We'll see snippets of everything. We'll see like them going through dates, how they go through various phases of their life. But then, yes, someone's going to say, I love you. Someone's going to propose, as Reisuke does, jumping out of a hospital window here.
Oh my God. Yeah, so she gets shot Which I think they almost imply that like she's on another mission. I think they almost imply the love is distracting her, so she gets like shot when she's like thinking of him or whatever, thinking of something.
Yeah.
And so she gets shot up because she can't like she can't like matrix the bullets away in time.
Mhm.
Which, by the way, she's awfully like kind of fine for being shot. She has a few bandages. I thought she was gonna be missing an eye. I'm not even joking. Like not to get morbid. I'm like, oh, is she gonna be missing an eye from now on? But no, she heals perfectly fine. Doesn't matter. She got shot like 17 times. But yeah, he jumps out the window. Which by the way, that's kind of ballsy.
Yeah.
Like that's just stupid. She's injured. What if she just didn't catch him?
I mean, she almost didn't. But yes, she's injured on a mission. She regrets having ever like brought him into her life, but he like tells her no, he wants to be there. He wants to support her. Having her in his life gives him strength. She's his hero, his goddess. But now he also sees that she's also just a human with their own desires, which is another thing I think that this series brings up a lot for these people that we put on like a heroic pedestal, is that they're still human with their own desires.
So this is probably gonna be the last time I'm gonna fully like detail the plot, but I am not exaggerating when I say what we just described was 2/3 of the first chapter, and what I'm gonna describe next is less than a third of the rest of the chapter, because they get married, they have a baby, and then the fucking Earth's gonna be destroyed by a meteor within pages. Within like, and I'm not exaggerating, it's like 2 pages each. And then it turns out she's the only one that can stop it. Which I went back on it earlier. I kind of want to reread it now. They still don't say that she's the only Earthchild on the planet. It's just that she's the only one that can stop it. So I'm just like, okay. So yeah, she stops it, and then she dies. That's it. That was a great okay. Let me back up. That was.
I think there's a bit more to go into the emotionality of it, rather than just the plot points of it. Even then, yeah, we see like their relationship continuing. We see their marriage. We see the birth of their child, Mamoru. And then not even a year after that, there's this big incident where a meteor is going to hit the Earth, and Kareri is the only one who can stop it. They have to launch her up into space. In their words, it's doomsday.
Okay, sorry. It's funny that you have all these things about emotionality, and I'm like, bro, it's like 6 pages.
Yeah.
Okay, go on.
Yeah, so they only need her to make a minor alteration of the path, just so it kind of, goes past Earth. So they need to get her telekinesis as most powerful it can be, which is affected by range. So they have to send her up in like a little solo spaceship. Reisuke doesn't want her to do it. He hopes that there's some other way, but Kareri decides to take this mission on. As she puts it, it's not the Earth I'm protecting. It's the two of you who fill me with pride and give me a reason to live. We see her take off into space and her attempts to drive off or to divert the asteroid. We see as she strains harder and starts bleeding, as she realizes she's not coming back from this. She regrets all the things she'll never have gotten to do with Mamoru before apologizing to Reisuke and asking him to take care of Mamoru for the both of them. We then see her ship crashing into the asteroid. The combination of the explosion and her powers ripping apart save the world. We see Reisuke's shock and grief as he collapses to his knees. We see Mission Control reacting and saluting Kareri for her sacrifice. Reisuke even notes that he would have run away with her and doomed the world to die if that's what she would have wanted. We see him sobbing as the pieces of the broken asteroid fall toward Earth, and we see one mysteriously glowing in front of Reisuke's throat. The end of this chapter reveals that Mamoru is also an Earthchild. Reisuke's narration at the beginning now comes full circle, as he knows that while people with great potential may be born, the great people they become are formed through how they are raised, and he has to make sure to do that with Mamoru.
I wouldn't say this was a great chapter. I keep wanting to say that, but I just feel it's great compared to what comes next. This was the only chapter that I felt was good. If I read this as a one-shot, I'd be like, oh, that was a pretty good story. My first immediate thought would be, this was like a one volume manga they squished into this, because in my opinion, all the stuff that came before, like that's the arc. Like, they fall in love, they get married, they have the baby, and then she dies saving the Earth. That's the arc. It's a very by the numbers arc, but it's an arc. And I'm like, why they wasted that one chapter is beyond me.
Once again, I assume this was supposed to be just a one shot that got said, hey, can you make a series out of this? She's like, okay.
I don't know, man. I don't want to judge Mr. Shinkai over here, but like the love stuff feels very, very surface level and rush. I know this is Shonen magazine. I know this is Shonen Jump, but like some of the stuff that comes later, and especially the whole power of love stuff, and like some of the stuff that they have Kareri say. Oh, by the way, I'm gonna just spoil it now, because we find out in another 10 pages Kareri's not dead.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how? And I get if what you're saying is true, which I think it might, because that's kind of what I read too. I guess he kind of was like, shit, it's the Ian Malcolm thing from Jurassic Park. I need him to be alive again. I don't know, but that was a choice to just be like, oh, remember that sacrifice you did? Yeah, it was for nothing.
Well, it
And
wasn't for
remember that.
nothing, Manuel. It's just that she survived. She still saved the Earth.
But that's such an American comic book superhero type thing, and I guess you could be like, "Well, that's what they're going for." But that's a very American comic book superhero type bullshit, where it's all like, "No one can stay dead." Like, I knew right then. I'm like, "Oh, this is not gonna have any emotional weight." And I'm gonna spoil one more thing too. So when the next chapter starts, the actual Men in Black, the agency, like that are called Waste, by the way, which I'm like, we never learn what Waste stands for, but I'm like, oh my God, Japan, stop.
Manuel.
No one would call it waste.
Clearly, it's World Agency Supporting the Earth Children. I just came up with that.
They never said that. You're making that up.
I just said I made that up, Manuel.
Yeah. But nobody would ever call it waste. No one would. No one would. And like, I just hate, like, and I know once again, this is a manga, this is whatever, but it just, this feels like the American, the not the American, but the Western obsession. I know it's Chinese, not Japanese, but it's still like the Western obsession of putting like, Chinese characters on themselves on tattoos and not knowing what the words mean, because it's like, nobody would call it waste.
Manuel,
Nobody.
you act like Japan doesn't do that with English words as well.
That's what I'm saying. It's just like it just threw me for a loop, and I was like, okay, they're throwing everything at us right now. But yeah, the real Men in Black show up, and they're all like, oh, we're gonna wipe your mind. Oh no, we're not going to. Do you want us to wipe your mind so you forget about this? You'll forget about everything. We'll take the child, we'll raise the child on our own, and you won't have to worry. Like, you won't have any grief. You'll just live your life. He's like, no, I don't think I'll do that. And then they basically do it anyway. They like have like these special agents come in, put the shit on his brain, try to wipe his memory, steal the baby. The baby starts like fucking Elfin leading the fucking people. He turns into fucking Lucy from I think her name's Lucy. Yeah, Lucy from Elfin Lee starts like tearing them apart. And I'm like, oh shit, this is getting bloody as fuck. What is this manga? Then Reisuke's like, oh no, stop, baby, stop. And the baby's like, I love you after all, I guess. And so he stops like killing everyone. And first of all, they're fine. And then they're all like, haha. Like, they don't say this exactly, but basically what they did, like, haha, you passed our test. Now we're family. By the way, God Eddie's alive. And I'm like, I wanted to scream.
Okay.
I wanted to scream.
So,
because this was bullshit.
Yeah, like I said, we're going to go more over the arc, and this arc is about, I think, 10-ish chapters.
It's about training the baby.
Yes, it's about training the baby. So, as their last Earthchild's out of commission, Waste has decided that it wants to take possession of Mamoru to raise him to do exactly the same things Kaede did, going around, saving the world, protecting peace, all that kind of stuff. But Reisuke is still kind of determined to raise him as a normal human who is also a hero. Doesn't want that. They try to erase his memory, but he resists, and all that commotion causes Mamoru to start throwing him around, and he only really responds to Reisuke. So they take Reisuke to Waste headquarters, which is at basically a fancy hotel where people with secrets go, basically on the understanding that we won't tell your secrets if you don't tell ours. This is never brought up again. I will note that.
Yeah, there's a lot of shit that's never brought up again.
And they reveal to him that they think Kaede is still alive. She seems to have fused with a chunk of the asteroid that's still in orbit. But she's now stone.
She Han Solo'd herself.
Yes.
She carbonated herself. Yeah, she Han Solo'd herself. And even though the training arc is training the baby, and I'm cutting to the chase because like they seem very unfocused on the Kaede and space thing for a couple chapters, but it's determined that they have to get her down soon. So it's the next 10 chapters are basically about training the baby to go save Kaede. This is kind of where the manga loses me almost entirely. This was the worst part of the manga, in my opinion. You know what? I'm gonna get some of my stuff out here before I because I feel like I'm gonna repeat myself if I don't just say this right now. This was a chore to read. The first chapter was fine. The first chapter, like I said, it was trope filled. It was trope filled. It had its moments though, but it honestly felt like the author had no idea where he wanted the story to go. And you call them arcs, but it feels like he was just throwing things at the wall and seeing what stuck. Because even within the training arc, there's littler arcs. Like I said, it kind of becomes like a Mr. Mom type thing for the next 2 or 3 chapters.
Yeah, I do
where it's
like
all
that kind of fusion of, oh yeah, I'm a single dad, but I'm also raising a superhero, and I don't have any powers myself. So how do I get my telekinetic kid to calm down?
Yeah. So like there's that, then there's actual training, then there's like the space shit. And I don't want to like I'll get there in a second, but there's some shit there that pissed me off too. And then there's other arcs, and then I'm like, which is it, sir? This manga ran, and it's funny because I didn't know that it ran that quickly, but like even 27 chapters, it's not that many. But knowing that it ran in the 7th-month span, this must have been like Whiplash. Like it felt like Whiplash reading it in quick succession like this. But I'm like, bro, what are you doing? And like, I don't know. Like it was a chore to read. I know that this has lost all meaning at this point when I'm like, oh, this is the worst one so far. But this manga almost made me want to just like stop reading. And it made me reevaluate my entire life. It made me reevaluate what I do for whatever reason. Because I'm like, I'm sitting here and I'm like, am I going to sit here for like another 5-6 hours, however long it'll take me to finish this thing and take notes? Because it takes me a whole day to do this basically. And I like to do it in one sitting if I can, or at least 2, but like one large sitting if I can manage it. I'm like, am I really spending a day of my life reading this? Because I know it's not going to get any better. If that's the way they're going to follow all that up with the whole like 3 different things happening in one thing, with like the baby like strangling the dude and like drawing blood and like ripping out his throat basically. And I even look at the chapter now, like that dude should have died. And then he's like, no, we're family, and everyone stands up, and I'm like, oh my god. And they're like, by the way, Kanede's in space, you want to see her? And I'm like, oh my god, stop. And I really thought, I'm like, I just want to stop reading it right now. And I'll be honest with you, the only reason I didn't was because I could not find a synopsis online. I'm still professional enough that I could have just like, start making shit up or skim through it. So I had to do the whole fucking thing. But I was sitting there the whole time like, do I want to do this? Like if we were a real book of the month type club, I'd be the person who just had to stop reading the book. Because like this isn't like Take on King Creek. This isn't like Dimension 21, where I had like some issues with like the pacing or like the artsiness or whatever. And I always preface those things with like, oh, but like I can see why people like it. I can see why B likes it. I can see like, why you like it. There's even parts I like. There's just things I don't like. It's almost like I just feel indifferent to this. This feels like I'm eating fucking like cotton candy or something. Like
I do love
just
cotton
empty
candy.
Calories. I hate cotton candy, by the way. But like, okay, it's a bad example, but you get the point. Like this feels like I'm just eating empty calories and I'm just filling air. So yeah, anyway, you can go on about some more stuff before I start ruining what happens in the next 10 chapters.
Yeah, so essentially Mamoru's powers and physical development are kind of up to waste. They'll help in the training of that, while his, I guess, mental and spiritual in a sense, I guess, development is left up to Reisuke. We also get a really cute moment where they're up on like at the top of a department store as Kareri is kind of orbiting past Japan on her way, and they take a picture on his phone, and the time on it, 4:51 or 16:51 as it's written out, is the same time that he showed up for their second meeting in chapter 1. I really like that. I don't know if it's supposed to.
I would have never noticed that.
Yeah, I went back and looked just to see because I thought it sounded familiar. And I don't know if it's supposed to mean anything, but in Goro Awase, where you swap in numbers for letters or for sounds and vice versa, it does come out to Hiro Kohi or Hiro Coffee. I don't know if that was intentional or if I just worked my way into that. I'm just saying you can twist things enough and I could probably find a connection.
I don't want to go into like plot holes of the manga, but I will mention some plot holes because they actually make it a plot point later on when Kareri comes back that they don't have any family photos together. And I'm like, what the fuck were you doing? Because like the baby was not like a week old. They give a proper timeline, but the baby's been born for a bit.
Yeah, baby's almost a year old.
I'm like, what were you doing? Like, why didn't you take a picture? Like, what are you... Especially when you thought you were going to die. You think that'd be the first thing you do. If for some reason, first of all, like, why the fuck did you not do it before? But if for some reason you thought you were going to go up to space and die a space death, you think you'd be like, yeah, let's take one last photo together before I die. Also, this is neither here nor there, but there is a scene where they describe that the outfit she's wearing as if they, oh, it's highly blah, blah, blah. It's made for, for her specifically to survive space. We went through all these things. It has fucking high heels. And it fucking pissed me off. There's so many little things that piss me off in this manga, and I'm just like, oh my god. I actually wish more things pissed me off like that, because then I'd be more like inclined to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
So, yeah.
Also, I don't want to like go too crazy here, but some of the superficial love stuff, because now we start getting flashbacks like from the next chapters about like all the times, because this stops when Kaderi comes back. I guess she's back now, but
No,
like
we get more flashbacks to their dating life in future chapters. Yes.
Okay. Well, anyways, suffice it to say that now we start to see a lot of that.
Mhm.
And I'm like, this would have been nice if we just had a fucking, like I said earlier, just a thing about the first part. It would have been formulaic. It'd have been a romance story more than anything. But I would have loved that more than what we got. But there's some weirdness in there too. Like there's this part, and I'm jumping the gun because I'll forget this. Now I'm only remember this 'cause I'm ranting about it. When they talk about why like they kind of fell in love, like why Kaderi loves him so much. Like, oh, because like when you praise me, I like it. Like I know, I think it's real, which is a weird thing to say. I'm like, I don't know about that. There's even a scene where they show her talk to someone else with not within the agency, but this like astronaut person. And the astronaut's like, oh, like I want to be like do this because I'm like proud, and I want to do this work. And she's like, I want to make my husband happy. And I'm like, no woman would say that. It feels very sexist. I'm like, what the fuck is this writing? Like, does he have a wife? Shinkai, do you have a wife? I'm sorry. I just feel like the romance is very like doesn't feel right. It feels very, and I know this is shonen. I know it's shonen, but it feels very like, woman exists for me type way. I don't know, man. Anyways, let's go on.
Yeah, I guess we'll get to that later. So yes, there's a small bit where they want to like use limiters on Mamoru's powers just so that everyone can have a good time, but Reisuke sees it's not like it's making him too sad or making Mamoru too sad to have his like powers taken away.
I in my notes I have those as Wukong bracelets, but I'm sorry. And I know the whole thing is, they work out all their problems. Honestly, part of me feels if the manga, why'd they bring back Kaderi? If the manga was just like the whole thing about him raising a super child, that's a thing. Why not? Why did they just focus on that? Like I said, I don't know. But yeah, I kind of like that bit of just that one little section of all the training when it's like, oh, he's not controlling himself and they put the things on him. But then like he's crying in his sleep. I don't know why that made me laugh, but it made me laugh. Because like I remember like I watched this, and it's funny because I literally watched it like right after I watched this fucking TikTok thing where one of those AI readings of a Reddit story, and it was about this evil child, and it's not a horror story, it's just about this evil child that these parents had. They're like, what do we do? And one of the things was that he was always evil, and he would always cry, and they would put him to sleep and he would cry in his sleep. And I'm just like, is he an evil baby? Is Mamoru an evil baby?
No, Manuel, he's just a baby.
But yeah.
So yes.
Anyways, they take the limiters off of him and he throws him on the roof.
Yeah. We learned that yes, Kaderi is conscious up in space, and through like their connection and the bond with Mamoru, they can communicate telepathically. They like bring her up to speed on the situation. They talk about how Earth children aren't really meant to have happy lives. They're meant to kind of serve the greater good, and sadly, that means one day dying in service of that. We see part of chapter 1 again from the director of the Japanese branch of Waste's perspective, with dialogue coming from just off panel, and get his true feelings of that situation. Which brings us to, I think, like the middle of this arc when we're first introduced to Albert, who is another Earthchild who survived his day of reckoning and is here to help them out.
Okay, so he survived his day of reckoning because he was going up against a black hole, and his brother came to help him, and his brother basically sacrificed his life instead of him. But because it's a black hole and nobody really knows what's happened with the black hole like fused him and his brother together, kinda. And I'm like, first of all, I would take that on its own, but what's with all the fucking fusion that's happening? It's fucking Dragon Ball. But like, because first Kaderi's fused with the fucking meteorite, now Albert's fused with his brother. And by the way, he got his heart. It never gets brought up again, but they're all like, oh, every so often my body rejects the heart. And I'm like, bro, that's called death.
I mean, I think that's mostly standard game for a transplanted organ. They're generally on meds for it.
Yeah, but like, I know you have the immunosuppressants or whatever the fuck, but it's just like it's just funny the way he makes it sound though. But anyway, his powers are limited. He can only like do little things because like once he was done with his bullshit, his power started waning because of Kadedi's powers.
I would say also, I think the damage he took, like having part of his body ripped off, probably didn't help as well. But he does help them train Mamoru. Like having someone else who can do telekinesis is definitely good for when you're training another telekinetic. Being able to show him, hey, do this, do that.
And when he shows up, that's when the arc kind of shifts into from the Mr. Mom shit to like, by the way, we have to save Kadedi soon. And I'm only going to say this now because it fucking pissed me off the most. At first, they're like, we have to save her in 30 days. And they don't really say why. They just kind of leave it at that. And I guess later on, Mr. Shinkai is like, oh shit, maybe I should have gave her a reason. I was like, oh, they even say this like pretty much directly. Albert's all like, oh, by the way, when I said 30 days, I didn't just make up a number. What I mean is 30 days, we're having a meteor shower, we're all going to die. Or no, we're all going to die, but like everything in Earth's orbit's going to get destroyed, including the fucking International Space Station. Hello, which is a real thing.
Yes.
But
yes. So
yeah,
after about a week of training with both Reisuke and Albert, Mamoru's already at the level where he can take them all the way up to the International Space Station. Boy develops quickly.
They go to the station and they're like, where's mom? Well, he's speaking to Mamoru. And it's like, oh, there she goes. She went by really fast though. They're like, oh yeah, we need to slow her down because blah, 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 rotation, anyways. So I'm not joking. So they're all like, oh, okay. So we're going to go. So I got a plan. We're going to go back down to Earth and we're going to make Mamoru meet Kadedi's parents. Then we're going to come back. And even the astronaut's like, wait, you're going to leave and come back? I'm like, bro, what are you writing? Like, this just feels like he's like, this is the International Space Station where they're like, they're not taking a spaceship up there. They're like floating in space. So like, even she's kind of like, are you crazy? You risked your life to come in the first place. It's almost like he wrote the chapter, drew it, realized, oh shit, I'm ending this too soon. Send it back to Earth. And he just unwrote, but he didn't want to redraw everything. So he just like faked out ended it. So I'm like, what are you doing? But and by the way, that astronaut's the one that Kadedi was all like, I want to make my husband happy. So yeah, they meet with Kadedi's parents and
yes, they meet Kadedi's parents. I'm honestly surprised they hadn't met them yet, but obviously had to keep the Earthchild stuff from that. I guess they knew, but they got their memories erased after she died.
So you want to hear something funny?
Yes.
So earlier, we skipped over this. One of the things they were going to do to have Mamoru be able to save Kadedi easier was they were going to age him up to 10 years old.
Yeah.
And they were going to just skip his life because, like, at one point they were trying to make fake Earth children, but they fucked up. They couldn't do it. But they accidentally found out they could raise children like crazy. And we learned that that's what happened to Kadedi. I'm 99% sure they said that about Albert too. But then later on, he talks about, like, like having a childhood. And I'm like, wait. Did you forget that, or is this weird translation? I have it in my notes somewhere, but I'm like, oh my god.
I think we've seen a flashback. He aged up to about 6. I think then sometime around there is when he underwent the procedure. So he still had a childhood, just not a very long one.
I guess that could make sense, but it just felt weird. It felt like Shinkai dude forgot, like he aged him up. But what I find more fucked up, forget him for a second. We meet Kadedi's parents and they're like, oh, these loving parents, like dad looks like a hippie, whatever the fuck. But like, they did that to their daughter.
No, Manuel, later chapter reveals that Waste lied to them, said Earth children just age rapidly and that's what happened to her. They didn't elect to have that.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I do know that it said that, but I think that once again, they're just backwriting shit because earlier, like when they brought up the whole, the thing, they didn't say it, but they low key kind of implied she was an orphan because they were not mentioning parents. They were mentioning raising her basically. And then we see the parents and I'm like, once again, I really think that he had no idea about how to resolve the whole getting Mamoru to know, right? Because that's the whole issue.
Yeah.
Mamoru doesn't know his mom. So he's like, shit. I need to give her parents. So like, I don't think she was ever meant to have them. I think that this fucker is just making shit up. And I know you can say that's what every author does, but I feel like he just like was like, shit, fuck. I kind of said she was an orphan already. And I kind of said they kind of like brought up to 10 years old, like an asshole would. Like what parent would say that? Like what parent would be okay with that?
Once again,
there's
Manuel,
no reason.
When you're having to deal with being on the verge of cancellation every 10 chapters, so I can understand like going back and saying, okay, I need to write myself out of this problem and maybe into another one accidentally. I mean, even which one was the writer on Death Note? Talked about, I would just write myself into a problem and then just say it was next week's problem for me and just work my way from there.
The sad thing is, I kind of get that to a bit more degree, but Death Note's a much more complicated story.
Mhm.
This is a very simple story.
Mhm.
Like I just feel like there was never an outline.
Sure, but a lot of writers don't outline. They just kind of write what comes to them and maybe go back. They obviously have more of, in like novel form, have more of a lead time because they can do a second draft to smooth things over. It's really hard when you're doing week to week manga.
Anyway, so they meet the parents.
Mhm.
Kadetti's like, "Oh, you can go in my room, but don't let my parents go in the room."
She has a very super secret thing in there that she doesn't want them seeing, which we
I'm sorry, it's so silly what it is, but keep going.
Yeah. The hope is that the parents' love for Kadetti, along with Reisuke's, will kind of help him understand that, he loves the person who looks like this, and he feels that same thing towards Kadetti and kind of fused with the rock. So
that's a funny way to phrase it.
Yeah, if he feels the same thing, it must be the same thing, and thus I should feel that I should be directing my powers toward there to help her match like velocity and with the space station so they can grab her and take her back to Earth. Then we also learn he has another telepathic conversation with her, thanks to Mamoru, and they decide to let her parents know what's in the box that she keeps super secret. It has
What's
at least
in the box?
5 locks on it.
Sorry, I wanted to do the 7 thing.
Yeah.
What's in the box? Keep going.
So we learned that it's basically all the things she's ever done that have gotten her praise from her parents. There's like school essays, paper cranes she folded. We learned that Kadetti really kind of lives on the praise of others. She hasn't had, I guess, that much of her own self-esteem to live on, but from her parents and from Reisuke, they feel like honest praise and makes her want to do better, which I think is what she was kind of going for when she had that conversation with the astronaut. Her name is Maruomi, by the way. It's not a like power thing. It's just that she really likes being praised by someone, and that's how she can get it. She knows that saving the world is the right thing, but the praise is the cherry on top of that sundae, I guess. This also leads to her parents having their memories restored. They had the Earthchild stuff wiped as a way of grieving. When they also learned that Kadetti is alive, they originally believed after the memory wipe that she was just a UN employee who died in a plane crash, I assume on some work issue.
So they go back to space.
Yeah, and that begins like the 3rd arc of the series, the full rescue arc now.
I mean, there's not really much to this arc. They just go back to space and stop. Well, okay, so this arc pissed me off just because it was drawn out for so long. Mm-hmm. Even though I'm always like, oh, it's not that long, but it actually is longer than it needs to be. Like they kind of save. Okay, they're able to slow down what's her face, Kadetti.
Yeah,
that works. And then, like, very dramatically, it's like, no, the mission shot, everything's wrong, you know. And then the asteroids come, and
they show up ahead of schedule as if nature itself is just against these two getting back together.
Which is gonna come up, but spoiler alert. But yeah, so anyways, asteroid, which doesn't make much sense. We're gonna get to later, but anyway, asteroids come, start fucking with her, almost kill her. He goes out to like Squall save Renoa type in space bullshit. Mm-hmm. And by the way, one of the reasons why I'm throwing in all the fucking references I can, these are not in my notes. Well, some of them are, but these are mostly not in my notes. I just feel like, and I'm not going to say that Miss Shinkai played Final Fantasy VIII and saw that scene, but like almost every scene, I'm like, bro, the first chapter was good. So I'm not going to say that one didn't have as much of it, but I'm like, I feel like there's not that much original stuff going on. Anyway. So like he goes to rescue her. Like they're all kind of like in space Holden, whatever, like very similar, but like a fucking meteorite like grazes his suit and like the oxygen starts leaking out and she like bubbles them with her powers, which are still active apparently. Mm-hmm.
I mean, she's emerging from the stone at that time, so
yeah, but I mean more so that like that we already learned that the power is supposed to diminish, but we'll get to that. Like that does become a plot point. It's not like that's a whole, but so they ease themselves back to Earth, and then she's fine, but he's like dying because like she's like, oh, the human body can only last like 20. She describes the whole
2
thing.
2 minutes, I believe is what they give. It's about 80 seconds, I think. But
she describes the whole thing about space, oxygen, how like your lungs explode, basically. Mm-hmm. I thought you had way less time than like however many seconds. I thought you just like blew up.
No,
but
if you've seen Cowboy Bebop in one episode, Spike goes out in the vacuum, and so he has to like cover up everything, make sure most of his holes are plugged. But yes,
So
they go back up to the space station. They do the first couple rounds. It's going to take, I think, 8 is their estimate for the push it'll take to bring her up to velocity. They get through a couple rounds. I think they get down to like the last one before like the meteor strike just fully like shows up early, as if, as I said, nature itself is against them. Albert and Reisuke decide to like do the idiot thing. They will leave Mamoru there and hope the rest of the ISS can get back to Earth, while they will go out and try to slow Kareri for the final time, because his bond with Kareri increased the power as they close in distance. So they're just going to use Albert's like reduced power to just get her down slow enough that he can make contact with her, like touch the stone, and hope that that is enough to get them through everything going on here.
No, real fast. I forgot my other Final Fantasy reference. I'm only seeing it again because I'm going to the manga real fast. This isn't in my notes, but I was like, I remembered seeing something else in there at the same thing, because Final Fantasy VIII, when he's catching Renoa, we also kind of get Final Fantasy VII when like in the fucking gondola thing, the merry-go-round, and they have their first kiss. Then we see that scene there, and I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, because Ferris wheel dates have never been a popular staple of media. Final Fantasy VII completely invented that, Manuel. You got me there.
Funny no, I mean, it's just funny. Like, I don't know, man.
Because a lot of their big moments don't also take place like with a backdrop of Tokyo in like the lights of the night. So making a Ferris wheel a good place for that.
But anyways,
yes. So this idiotic plan gets even worse when Albert gets hit by one small piece of debris, which knocks him out cold. So now Reisuke is out there essentially alone with an unconscious man tethered to him. He and like Kareri are still having this conversation where she doesn't want them. She's accepted that this is probably going to be the end for her, but she doesn't want them to die. She doesn't want to leave Mamoru orphaned. Even other people bring this up to him. Maromi like slaps him sometime on the station, but which reminds him that rage is also a powerful emotion along with love, in many ways. And he kind of uses the anger at the world that would keep them apart to fuel him through this. So there's the minor miracle of Kareri getting more of her powers back as they get closer, which is able to get them just close enough that they are finally able to touch. And this is in chapter 18, Hypernova. Sorry, Disclosure 18. These chapters are all called Disclosure, by the way.
So it's funny because I was obviously going to skip over this because I was like, I don't feel like talking about this. It goes on for way too long. But since you felt like going back into it. Also, when she breaks out of the meteorite, they kiss and Reisuke is just straight up grabbing her ass. You can go look at that scene yourself. He's straight up just grabbing her ass.
But sadly, there is another complication. Another bit of debris goes straight through Reisuke's suit and Kareri's hand. Oxygen levels dropping, life support failing. Unable to do anything, Reisuke begins to doubt his choice and worry for Mamoru again. We see Mamoru on the ISS as this happens. Reisuke laments his apparent failure as future Mamoru notes there's still one last play Reisuke makes. To everyone watching, it seemed like an impulsive move by a man in despair. Deciding to close the gap even further, Reisuke takes off his helmet and kisses the frozen Kareri. On this reread, it got me thinking of the quote from Disney's Hercules. People always do crazy things when they're in love. And boy, is this on the list of crazy moves someone has done.
So
yes,
I'm not saying it's him. He stole this from there, because I don't think that at all. But what this reminded me of, and I could not stop thinking about it. And I know that's exactly why they explained the seconds thing. So technically, you're not going to explode like the way I thought. But it reminded me a lot of the whole thing from whatever the fuck the second Star Wars sequel was. I forgot what the fuck it's called. The one no one liked, and I didn't like it either, but not for the reasons everyone else didn't like it.
I love The Last Jedi, Manuel.
Oh god. Anyway, it reminded me of that scene where like the bombs don't drop, so they have to like manually drop the bombs even though they're in space. Where just like you opened the fucking vacuum. What is the space universe? And I know that they've since explained it, but let's be real here. Like the Ryan Johnson, he did not think that through when he wrote it. Like he just made that scene, and then like some fanboys in the fucking not fanboys as in fans, but like some fanboys on the Lucasfilm thing had to like create that later, because I mean,
man, that's like half a Star Wars lore though.
I agree,
there are explosions and sound in space. There's a giant opening on the Death Star straight out to space that nobody gets sucked out of. That's how they get in.
Just because I'm kind of like, oh god, I'm gonna just keep complaining about Earthchild, keep talking about one little funny joke I have about the Death Star is that I saw a meme the other day when talking about the Death Star from Return of the Jedi, and they're like, I love how like people were in that Death Star that was clearly half full. It's like, imagine how many doors were labeled "Do not open," space outside. Because yeah, it's just all like most of it's just like missing. Anyway,
Okay.
I don't know about any of this, man. So like the she saves them, she makes a
Yes.
bubble, she brings it
Yes.
back to Earth.
But Reike isn't breathing. They don't know if he's going to survive.
So we leave him for a minute because
Mhm.
like, I don't want to spoil what he has, because he has an interesting moment.
Mhm.
Which once again, what the fuck is this dude writing? But my favorite part is just like, oh no, the meteorites are actually crazy. They can destroy the space station
Mhm.
and maybe Earth too. I don't know if that was implied.
No, I think
The space
they're
is good
small
enough.
enough that they'll burn up in the atmosphere, but anything that doesn't have that protection is kind of fair game for them to kill. So while he's on the verge of death, Reisuke finds himself in what they call death's waiting room.
Hold
And
on, you haven't finished.
what am I?
So hold on. So anyway, so what's her face is like, hey, I want to stop the meteorites, but I need help, and I
Yeah,
want to get
Albert.
Albert, come help me.
Mhm.
So they're doing that while this is happening.
Yes.
We get Albert's last stand because
Yeah.
pretty much like this is where his character arc dies.
I mean, that's basically where he stops showing up and he's just more the honorary
Exactly.
uncle. Yeah. So yes,
Exactly.
the ISS is still threatened. It wasn't able to descend fast enough. And Mamoru's still there. So Kareri and Albert team up to basically do a giant psychic pull just to get the ISS out of the way. It works, thankfully. But while all this is going on, Reisuke is in what's called Death's waiting room, where he's speaking to what looks like a little girl, roughly her teenage years, I think.
God is a schoolgirl.
She very specifically denies being God, but she does
She's
at least
Earth.
answer to
She is Earth.
being the avatar of Earth.
Gaia.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's like Gaia, Terra. She actually calls herself Terra
Terra,
later on.
yeah.
But just to spoil that. But she's Earth.
Yes.
But I just fucking love that she's a schoolgirl.
She talks about Earth children as if they have no will of their own. She goes back to that comparison to being Earth's immune system. They're a white blood cell, and nobody like grieves for a white blood cell that's lost fighting disease, or the cells that die when your nails and hair grow. There have been all kinds of creatures made into Earth children, as we see, including dinosaurs and squids, which we see like a dinosaur running into, I think, the meteor that wiped out the dinosaurs. I guess it saved Earth a bit, but it clearly didn't work out well for the dinosaurs.
I saw that too. Like the T-Rex is a hero, man.
Yeah.
I want the manga about the T-Rex.
But Reisuke, as always, kind of rejects that treatment of Earth children, tells her to deal with it when he says that their happiness gives her a hard time. He announces his intent to live, but what she calls the final call arrives. It's censored for horror, apparently.
And this actually pissed me off because, like you said, you say it's censored for horror. I don't know. That just feels like it feels very Lovecraftian.
Mhm.
And by that, I mean, if you ever read a Lovecraft story, which, by the way, don't do it as an asshole. Actually, do it, because I think it's all of a sudden public domain. He ain't getting a cent for it anymore.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, not that he would ever get a cent. He's been dead for 100 years.
Yeah.
But I mean, his family. But if you ever read a Lovecraft story, the whole thing is the trope in his writing is, I don't know if this man ascribed to the belief of like, oh, like it's scary what's in your mind, which I fucking hate, by the way, but he never describes his fucking things. Whenever something huge and monstrous shows up and deadly, he's like, oh, words can't describe. It's like, I saw something so horrific, I can't even speak of it. And this just felt like, did Shonen Jump say you couldn't show it, or were you being lazy?
I think it's at least partially an artistic choice.
I don't know, man. Like, would it have been so hard to draw like some bloody hands from the floor? You already weren't scared of blood earlier.
Mhm.
This honestly just felt lazy to me. It felt like
Mhm.
he didn't want to, like, he's like, last page, I gotta finish tomorrow. I already drew the schoolgirl who like has a funny, really weirdly drawn hand pose to the next page. She looks very shoujo-y and like out of proportion.
Mhm.
But yeah.
Yeah, I also
Anyway.
do like that the lollipop she's sucking on for the, like, every one of her parents also has like the map of the Earth on it. So yes, the room around him starts to disintegrate, and he's left falling into the void. Earth Girl, who we're going to call Terra because that's what she says she can be called later, tries to strip Reisuke of everything, his emotions, senses, and his memory. But just like in the first chapter, he refuses to lose his memories of Kareri. It's enough to let him claw his way back up to the room with Terra in it. She continues her attempts to like break his will, but he remembers all the times people have told him how much it has been needed, like his will, is to push them forward to help things out in this program. Terra sees a future where humanity essentially divides itself into Kareri and Mamoru factions, both vying for power over the other. Reisuke, despite these continued disintegrations, keeps reforming himself and notes that after starting a family, he found something new inside himself, the rage towards anyone who had hurt his loved ones.
So, real fast, because you got to the part where I was going to say, like, first of all, put a pin on that whole faction thing. But second of all, I loved how right before that, he literally is a skeleton.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean that like lightheaded, like at all, like joking around. She literally reduces him to a skeleton with like hair and rags, and he somehow reforms himself. And I'm like, what the fuck?
We're no longer in the physical world, Manuel. We're in the spiritual world of things, where he's just as much his soul and his will than his physical body.
Honestly, that makes less sense than if it was in the physical. Because I'm like, bro, you are Joe. And I know the point of the manga is like, the everyday man kind of becomes a hero, blah, blah, blah. But like, he is Joe Schmo, no face protagonist in a fucking visual novel, nobody. And you are fighting against Earth.
Yeah, Manuel, and that's what makes it
a god.
So powerful, is that his will refuses to be broken by this godlike being.
She's a god. That makes no fucking sense.
Manuel, none of this makes sense. It's about the triumph of the human will, how people need to be some amount of selfish. They cannot be totally selfless. They need some amount of selfishness in their lives, Manuel. And his is his love for his family, and that's what keeps him going.
So yeah, babe, I don't know if you're gonna continue that, but like, she eventually like relents. She's like, I guess, like, you know, like, I'm not done with you yet, though. Like, this is war.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
so
he jumps in, and even though you already said it, he jumps in, and he's like the catalyst that actually is able to finish off the power. So what's her face can like save the space station.
Terra honestly begins to doubt if he's human somehow, like, as Manuel notes.
Even if he never comes back.
With the planet's wrath aimed square at him, all Reisuke has to say is, bring it on. Pulling off, I think, his third miracle of the day, maybe it's his fourth, I lost count somewhere, Reisuke wakes up just in time to help boost Kareri's power as they pull the ISS and Mamoru to safety. Which begins our final arc. We skip forward, sorry, there's another chapter, but it's basically just the end of this arc, as they save the ISS, everyone reunites on Earth.
Did it bother you that Mamoru is like 5 years old, but he looks like he's like 13?
Yeah.
Because that bothered me. I mean, like, I was confused, and part of me wondered if that was a translation error, or like, is he aging faster? Were they right this whole time?
I just assume it's like difficult to draw an accurate looking 6-year-old, so they just...
Have you heard those memes, or have you seen those memes? You've seen the stories, like when somebody tweets about like, I was making lunch for my child, and my child's all like, what is, like, do we actually live in a Marxist society and not like capitalism? If food, I'm making something up, and then the whole joke is, no way your fucking child said that.
Yeah.
Every fucking line this kid says, he is 6. Why the fuck is he talking like an adult?
I mean, he's also had been on multiple superheroic missions at the time, so he's probably has a
maybe I'm stupid, but when I was 6, I was like, ooh, video game.
Yeah, no, I think you two led very different lives, Manuel. I think that might have some amount of it,
which probably he did. We don't know that for sure. But
I mean, we know he's been on multiple missions with them. They're working as a family now. We're 5 years in the future. He's 6, 7-ish.
Anyway,
so yes, one day they get called on another mission together. Strange hurricanes are forming over the Atlantic, and they need to go put a stop to them. But what?
So strange hurricanes. I'm sorry, I just had to say that the hurricane punches Keisuke. That's it.
Reisuke? Yes.
Keisuke, same thing.
Yeah. Working together, they're able to pull it off. But then even more stuff starts. Guess who's back? Terra's back.
Why'd she wait 5 years?
She notes that in the
What
span
Sleeping
of,
Beauty bullshit is this?
I mean, as she notes, it's basically the blink of an eye for her. She works on much longer scales or time scales than anyone else. As she puts it, she's what, 4.5 billion years old? 6 years is nothing to her.
Well, so she went to pee, then came back?
Yes.
Like, oh yeah.
What do you think? How do you think we get rain, Manuel?
Oh my god. She's peeing on us. The schoolgirl's peeing on us. Anyway.
Some people pay for that, Manuel.
Oh my god. Moving on.
Yes. So, Kareri and Mamoru both find themselves kind of terrified of her, noting that's probably something with having to be an Earthchild. But Reisuke is once again the one able to stand up to her. She repeatedly tries to separate them, throws Reisuke off the boat, but they're able to work together enough to keep themselves together and keep everything from completely escalating into terror for the East Coast, or like to a terrible superstorm. Before finally, when they're all together, they do their final thing to rein Terra in. They take her to Death's door, or to Death's waiting room, to have a family meeting.
So 2 things. One, you skipped over my favorite part where she kind of tries to sway. She tries to Emperor Palpatine Mamoru.
Yes, I forgot that part.
Come to the dark side.
Yes,
and
she tries the same way she did with Reisuke to show him that their continued existence will cause suffering, but his memories of Kareri, note, don't worry about something that hasn't happened yet, or that might not happen, because the future can still be changed. She's only tempting you by showing you things that could happen, not things that are set in stone.
So so they end up doing their death meeting.
Mm-hmm.
It's just bullshit. It reminds me of the actual end of Queen of the Damned, the book, where if you read it, you think this big showdown with the big vampire queen's gonna be this whole fight. And they literally just sit and talk for 100 pages. Not that happens here, but I'm like, how do you talk? How do you try to reason with the god?
Who knows, man? But yes, Terra makes one final argument that the continued existence of multiple Earth children throws things out of whack. But the Sawadas are, that's Reisuke's last name. I don't think I ever gave his last name, but
oh yeah, we did it. But to be fair, they haven't been a family for long.
Mm-hmm. Reisuke and Kareri and Mamoru they've all got the same bullheaded will to keep themselves together because of their, I guess, shared love for each other. Terra is always trying to spin this as a zero-sum game. Either they gain happiness but threaten the Earth, or the Earth survives and Reisuke and Kareri die. Reisuke talks about how his dream has always been to help the planet, but it was only ever given form after learning how Kareri was alive and having to raise Mamoru to be a hero. His choices have been as selfless as they have been selfish. This is the thing I was bringing up earlier. Yes, in every bit of selflessness, there probably has to be some bit of selfishness. Madoka took this for a much darker spin, but I think this is going for a much more positive spin here. That yes, humans are by nature maybe a tiny bit selfish, but that doesn't preclude us from doing selfless things, helping the Earth, even if we get something out of it. Until I figure out a way that forsakes nothing, I won't give up. This is what keeps what could have been a tragedy into a much more, I guess, happy ending. I've been told that tragedy is giving someone 2 options and telling them that they can only have one of them, 2 diametrically opposed things. They can have love, or they can have the stability of a nation or something. In this case, they can have love or the stability of a planet. But Reisuke's determination is what prevents tragedy from happening in this case. And Terra finally relents. She says, yeah, I'm stubborn too, but even I know when to give up. Fine, I'll keep my eye on you. Get out of line and I'll wipe you out again. I'll admit it's a very anticlimactic resolution to things. Nothing. But at this point, I assume he knew he was getting canceled at least 5 chapters ago.
Why bring up the Earth at all? This felt like all of I feel like you gotta take it all into account, especially when this is all written in such a small period of time. This started out just a weird superhero love story, and then it became Mr. Mom training a baby. Then it became mom's baby saving his mom. Then it became this fucking thing fighting the Earth. It's what, and the other shit in between. I'm what the fuck is the story?
I mean, I think that's an escalation happens in a lot of superhero things, though. I think that's why I kind of jive with this.
Speaking of superhero things, this reminded me a lot of the new Fantastic Four movie, which I fucking hated. I do love that they kind of included like a similar Reed Richards Galactus problem.
Mhm.
Mild spoiler alert. Actually, I won't spoil the whole thing, but I'll spoil the comic book thing. So I said this on a past podcast, like not on one of these, but like just a random gaming one or something. That when I was a kid, one of the first things I ever read as a comic book was my aunt had bought me a something about the Galactus, like, the Galactus arc, basically. But it had a bunch of random issues collected together over years. And in one of the, like, obviously they save Earth the first time Galactus comes, and the next time Galactus is mentioned is because Reed Richards is put on trial because since he saved Galactus, like Galactus ate a billion other worlds or some shit. So he was put on trial about that. And the movie kind of has something similar-ish, like a much smaller, more similar problem was like, bro, it's like your own needs don't outweigh the Earth's. And I know that's kind of the whole plot things of all of this, but like I'm like, bro, she literally showed you a very real scenario where like your two superpower family members become like opposite dictators, which honestly, like
Manuel,
that could still happen. The manga ends weird.
She does note that neither of them will probably want that to happen. It's just how humanity will work. I think she has a much dimmer view of humanity than the Sawadas do.
So I don't think that's a dimmer view. Like I think that's very realistic. Also, even if we put that aside for a minute, do you really think the hurricanes that punch what's his face and did other shit, you think those did not kill probably hundreds, maybe thousands of people?
I mean, they were still over the Atlantic Ocean. They hadn't made landfall anywhere yet. So
they destroy some places. I don't think that.
Oh,
there's
a tornado that comes in as well. Yes, that might have.
I doubt nobody was harmed, and those particular natural disasters probably wouldn't have happened. Those were specifically Terra coming back. And
okay, but you're placing the blame on them when you should be placing it on Terra, is I think what you're trying to do here.
No, it's on them.
Why? Because they want to exist? Is it selfish to want to continue to exist, Manuel?
At the cost of others, yes. At least admit it. At least admit that. Okay, that's also my biggest thing. Because yes, you think I wouldn't do that? Fuck yeah. But I'd be honest with you. Yeah, I'd rather live. I don't care if the thousands of other people die too. Yes, my life is more important to me than the fucking masses, but they don't say that outright. If what's his face? I know that's not heroic, but if he was all like, my family's more important to me than the Earth itself,
he said that in chapter 1, Manuel.
Yes, but like they kind of that was tested, put on the line, and I assure you, no matter how you want to look into it, no, they didn't say as well. People are dead because of that.
Yes, but it should not be their fault. It is Terra's. Terra's the one taking action here out of a petty short-sightedness that she believes cannot happen, but has apparently, as far as we can tell, never been tested before.
And you want to know the worst part? Because we're pretty much done here. There's one more chapter we're going to get to. But you want to know the worst part of all this writing?
Sure.
This makes no fucking sense. This is actually when I wanted to scream again. Because this makes no fucking sense. And I was so fucking mad that I read this whole fucking thing. Because I'm like, so let me get this straight, guys. Let me get this straight, Mr. Shinkai. You're telling me that Terra created the Earthchildren to protect the Earth.
Yes.
From presumably some shit's out of control, but a lot of the shit is her doing it herself.
I think that's just trying to get them killed at this point.
No, but like there was I don't like I get the meteorites are probably beyond her control, but they kind of implied she can control those too. So I'm confused now. Is she like they've pretty much said straight outright that she can cause a lot of these disasters.
Yes.
And honestly, if it's not her, who the fuck else is it? I think so. This is written so badly. So she's protecting the Earth from herself. Are you saying when she gets mad, like when she's like gets like killed in like she gets placed 99th in Fortnite, she like destroys fucking Atlantis, and like the Earthchild didn't get there in time? I mean, what the fuck is this? Like, what is happening?
We see Earthchildren working against more ground level threats at the first start. I mean, she's helping out with conservation, world peace, that kind of stuff. And it doesn't seem that Terra takes a very direct hand in like the day-to-day of Earth operations. And the days of reckoning only come when there's some bigger outside threat, like that random black hole that appeared. or the meteor, the meteor from chapter 1. So
it just felt weird. Like I don't know. It just seemed confusing. Like it felt like Tara complicated the whole situation.
Mhm.
None of this should have been here. I don't think. And first of all, there was no time for this. This is actually the shortest arc. The fucking, even though it sounds like this would be a super long thing,
yeah,
them doing the Mr. Mom and doing the space shit, the space thing, the second half where they actually rescue her is about the same length as all this fucking Terra shit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all like that make like why even include this if you had to rush it?
Because
Like,
I think it's supposed to be them earning their happy ending. We could have probably stopped after that, but I assume he had 5 more chapters. Like, I gotta fill it. I like the idea of them kind of completely rejecting the idea of this cycle of pain for the Earth children, wanting to completely break that curse and having a source to put it in and kind of like make it relent is, I think, about as good as ending as we were going to get.
So anyway, so the last chapter is an epilogue, basically, like how they all get their happy endings. I actually agree with you. Like, I feel like he's like, shit, I kind of thought they were canceling me last month. They told me I had to do another month. Fuck. Because who does the full epilogue? Like, you don't really see full epilogue chapters like this during the run. Like, this is usually like a manga a tankobon bonus or some shit like that. Who wants to read this? Nothing happens here. This is this just wraps. This is more bullshit.
It's wrapping up.
Fluff.
It's showing that, yes, hey, things are better now. So another, I think, 5 years after the last chapter, it's Mamoru's graduation from elementary school. But wouldn't you know, the family's off on another mission. Now, Deputy Director of Waste Albert and Katagiri, the director of the Japanese branch of Waste, reflect on how the Sawada's dedication and how Reisuke has like changed both of them. Just as Mamoru's name is called for graduation, he appears at the back of the auditorium. They ask where he's been, and someone even jokes that he must be a superhero since he's always late to things like this.
I know I talked shit earlier that he looked 13. Now he looks 20. So I'm just like, what is happening with this aging?
I just assume it's that Shinkai might have trouble drawing younger people.
Yeah, I guess, but yeah.
Yeah. After the ceremony, Mamoru asks if he can go hang out with his friends. He's kind of worried his parents will say no because they've always been kind of overprotected. But we see them worrying that about themselves as well and kind of letting him go because of that. They know that someday he'll have to head out on his own, spread his wings, and leave the nest. Finally, on their own, Reisuke and Kareri talk about how their little boy has grown up and won't need him one day. The series comes to an end with Kareri asking Reisuke if he'll always be with her, and Reisuke telling her that it's his duty, no, his destiny. The final pages are Reisuke and Kareri embracing each other as they say once again over a view of Tokyo as lights turn on in the evening, saying, "As long as I live, I'll be your hero and yours only."
I don't know, man. I would have maybe I'm asking too much, but like if he was going to jump ahead anyway, I wish he jumped ahead to the future and like them as old people. What's their faces?
Yeah,
Kareri and
Reisuke.
Only so that we could know, like, hey, I didn't have to kill my son, you know? Because I find it weird that they didn't move past that. Like, that's still a possibility. And I guess part of it could be like Shinkai's like, maybe I get to write the sequel. Please don't ever let that happen. I was joking, by the way. But also the whole last scene where they kind of it ends back with their lovey-dovey moments. Why the fuck wasn't that's what the series was about? Why was it not I married a superhero? Why wasn't that the fucking thing? Like, I still got to go back to chapter 1, and that was like the only part of this that felt good. Or if they went to chapter 2, leave Kareri dead, and then just make it about raising Clark Kent.
So yeah,
and those have been 2 much better stories.
So yeah, that's been Earthchild. As you can tell, I really liked it. And Manuel, give us your honest opinion, Manuel.
Is the worst fucking thing. Okay. Let me back up because I feel like I'm giving it way too much credit. It really isn't the worst thing I read. Is it the worst thing I've read so far in this show? Yes. Is it like actually bad? No. If I rated things out of 10, I'd give this a 3. But that's the issue. Like, it just feels like, and this is what I mean when it broke me. Like, maybe it's the timing of when I had to read it, when this episode like fell during a very busy like period of my life. Like, I was sitting there reading it, and I'm like, this is the most milquetoast generic throwaway manga I've ever read. Like, there's no redeeming qualities in my opinion. I hope JD hasn't read this. I hope he feels the same way. And it's funny because I actually didn't look it up until later. I just went along with it. And then about a week and a half ago. I finally finished it, and I was like, okay, you know what? I'm never doing this again. So my resolution here is that if I come across another manga like this, I'm gonna just stop reading, and I hope that like B doesn't cancel, and I'll just be like, yeah, I don't know what happened. You guys have to tell me. I skipped to the end to see how it ended because this manga just like fucking broke me. Also, it made me rethink my life in ways I'm like, why am I spending time doing this? Why I could be reading something else. There's things I want to read, but like I bought a translation of the Monkey King. Well, it's actually Journey to the West, but it's only the first part that I've never read before. I've talked about it in the panels I do on Journey to the West, but I never read it before. And I'm like, I could be reading that. But no, I'm fucking here reading Earthchild.
I mean, you could take a couple hours a day to read this chapter by chapter instead of, reading it all at once and then spend the rest
probably
of
would have been that probably would have been worse in this manga. But yeah, I don't know, like it's funny, and I'm sure it's not your favorite manga. You like it, I'm sure it's your favorite. But I'm like, they're like every manga we've read so far, I feel like can be someone's favorite manga. Even Tenmaku Cinema to some degree. It's probably way more obscure than this one is. But it's almost worked its way into my top 10 favorite series. So it's almost my favorite series. But like this one just feels like I'd rather go back and read the fucking the Assassins one.
Okay, I feel like that might be going a bit too far, Manuel.
Because that feels like I'm eating good junk food. That feels like I'm eating McDonald's. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
This feels like I'm eating like I try to put cotton candy, but I guess people like cotton candy too much.
Candy corn? Not people like candy corn.
Yeah, it's like I'm eating candy corn. It's like I'm eating those candy corn peanuts, like the circus peanut candy corn. It's even worse. It's like, I mean, the nastiest shit ever. It's like, yeah, it's sweet. Yeah, it's technically candy, but get it the fuck away from me.
Yeah, like I said, I really enjoy this. I enjoy like the emotionality of it, like how it's kind of devoted to how far you can kind of push someone's will and someone's love, and how all of that together is one of the most powerful forces in the universe.
I don't know, man. But my advice is to skip it. I sound upset, but the biggest reason I'm upset is just because I had to spend more hours after reading it. Like it couldn't just leave my life. I had to come back and like talk about it here. If you follow this episode to the end, consider this like I read it too. Just move on. Just trust. Go read Tenmaku Cinema.
I won't deny that you should also read that one, but I will suggest you read this one if you really like kind of a superhero love story, or a superhero story of having to deal with being a parent to a superhero as well.
Yeah, I agree. If you like those, go read something like that. I don't think this is really it though. But last thing is that I wanted to mention that when I did start doing research after like the whole thing, when I had my whole life epiphany moment about what the fuck am I doing with my life, I'm gonna start like rethinking of the fucking streams I'm a part of. B says she couldn't do the show. So I was like, oh my God, of all the fucking shows to not do, it's the one that I don't want to do. So I kind of felt like I had to do my part and like do some extra shit to go look into it. And it was then that I discovered this series is not very loved online. Oh, and also I should mention that I have talked to B about this, and I'm not gonna like try to paraphrase her words because we'll just get that next month. But basically, she mostly agreed with what I had to say in terms of it's all over the place writing, how it was a chore to get through, etc. But I did read that like the whole thing about apparently there was some Reddit thread about how it was a one shot that got expanded to like 26 more volumes. Mm-hmm. And then, because at first I thought somebody was just joking about that, but then I found the original thread they posted about, and they said that's what it was. And the consensus is no. Okay, once again, Reddit's not the best judge. You get a lot of fucking like trolls on there, but nobody in any of the multiple Reddit threads I came across that mentioned the manga liked it. And I found a couple YouTube videos where they talked about it as being one of like, the letdowns. Well, not even letdowns. That's too strong of a word. But they just mentioned it in like, one of the mangas like, this manga kind of stuck this year, mm-hmm. of the releases. And yeah, so it's also worth noting that very similar to me, it's almost like, once again, people don't like it, but it's like, it's almost hard to be mad at it because it's like it doesn't earn that respect either. I don't know.
So yeah, anyway, that's been Reading the Wrong Way for this month. Manuel, it's your choice next month. What are you picking?
Yeah, so I'm not going to say what it was, but I had another choice in mind, like a more, I don't know how to put this, a more artsy choice almost. I'll use that word because I like that word, but like a more artsy choice in mine. And I changed it because of this one, because I need a palate cleanse. I need something stupid and like stupid, but fun stupid. So yeah, next month we're doing High School of the Dead. It's also kind of in line for Halloween because I think we've kind of agreed offhandedly, almost like as a joke, that Halloween, October is going to be Eatober. So so I guess because of that, I had to just pick a month around it. So just because next month was my choice anyway, I'm doing High School of the Dead. I actually kind of like that series. It's very short. It's like I think it's 3 volumes, but it's like one big fat volume. So it's about the same length as this.
Future JD here. Manuel apparently didn't realize just how long High School of the Dead is, so we're going back to his original artsier pick for next month, and we're going to be reading Ghost in the Shell. I now return you to your regular scheduled outro. So, yes, if you like this, please consider liking it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We're also uploading this to YouTube. This will be on YouTube, what, October?
Yeah, starting with whatever episode of
Ghost in the Shell.
That'll be the first one that's will be concurrent.
Consider following us on our socials. On YouTube, we are A to J Connections and A to J Plays for our gaming content. On Twitter, we are A to J_info. On everything else, we're basically A to J Connections with or without the hyphens before and after too. If you've liked what you'd heard in this episode, consider supporting our Patreon, patreon.com/A to J Connections. Every dollar helps keep our website ad-free and helps us bring you content like this. Shout out to our patron Ed. So for A to J Connections this month, I'm JD.
And I'm Manuel.
And B's still not here. We'll see you next chapter.